Right, welcome. Good morning to a good morning of Fiifi-Manfred analysis. On Fiifi-Manfred on YouTube with respect to Enra in summer course. So all of the games that went on in the Champions League, of course, English Premier League game, of course. So Chelsea have been dealt a major blow. They don't come up, and even we'll go into the merits of Madrid and qualify a Champions League. Maybe anyone sense maybe this because they're very, very important with that conversation. We'll see how things go over there in games never because our Champions League in Inter also went through very, very well. Something that was a very, very good game for Team Friend Internazionale Milan. We'll talk about that. Hi, Fiifi-Manfred on YouTube. Guys, I won't subscribe here. Subscribe, turn on notification. Make sure look at the description of the video. There's a link to the various Fiifi-Manfred groups for investors now on Betway. There's a link to Fiifi-Manfred WhatsApp channel with a link to the Fiifi-Manfred WhatsApp group of analysis and signing money. You can go there. Come on, see on Fiifi-Manfred on YouTube. Have been great in this and come on. Let's start it. And in the run in Newcastle for possibly going to play in the Champions League, and not one outstanding match into now English Premier League table. What it meant is that Newcastle 4 had to play that outstanding match, and they did play the game at St. James's Park. At the end of the day, Newcastle 4 boy Crystal Palace, they were just too good for Palace 4. Newcastle 4 Crystal Palace 4 by 5 goals to 0. And you 1, and you 2, and you 3. 5 goals to 0, and a Newcastle 4 and they share Crystal Palace 4. Total annihilation, total demolition, total control of Crystal Palace 4. Making sure Palace 4 wouldn't have a sniff at anything, totally dominating them. And I think Oko to the English Premier League table this year, Newcastle win say the qualification to the English Premier to the Champions League next season. Very, very difficult. In fact, more difficult for Chelsea as it stands now. So now, Newcastle comfortably have gone into 4th position as it stands now. Our league table also almost that 4th position. Now before the game, Newcastle got a 3rd position. In fact, Nottingham Forest and few of them in the 3rd position with 59 points. See, Nottingham Forest 57 points, Man City 55 points, Chelsea 54 points. Chelsea and Nottingham Forest 3 points between the two. So Chelsea, every team qualified for Champions League now, they need to win their matches consistently and make sure the final day of the season, wait Nottingham Forest now. Team, your friend, Nottingham Forest. I think that yes, whilst it has become a little bit difficult, table also, it has given a huge opportunity to Enzo Maresca and Brandt, to make sure they go into the rest of the season with something to fight for. And I said, Enzo Maresca and the boys now, how he was describing the rest of the last 6 games now, describing it as very, very important set of games on Bubble Ball, describing it as finals was very true. Because of course, the next set of games are Chelsea for Bubble Ball is super, very, very difficult games on Bubble Ball. Because we'll share the list of games that Chelsea will Fulham away this weekend. After Fulham away, we'll Everton. After Everton, there are a lot of subsequent games are Chelsea for the ball. And you can tell, given the magnitude of our games now, Chelsea the opponent of Babishiano, any easy crowd over there, any easy. In fact, I think the Chelsea match on Sunday, and at Chelsea, the boss are match over this weekend, Sunday, because Chelsea, any team, your friend, Liga also ever the return leg on the UEFA Conference League quarter final. I think that's again that Chelsea have done the job and they'll go through. Chelsea against Liga also in there. We have both Fulham away from home. No about Everton, no about Liverpool. Hopefully by then Liverpool so we need 2 games by then. No more we need English Premier League maybe. No more with Newcastle away from home. That game was going to be a crunch one and Nottingham Forest will be licking their lips. Last 3 games for Chelsea, literally very, very difficult games for on paper. These are really tough games that Chelsea have, but of course, Chelsea for have been given a slim glimmer of hope. So meeting here come through with respect to matches now. Like I say, on the boy English Premier League in the motion that of Nottingham Forest. I'm going to lose to Everton the last time out. This weekend, I'm going to go against Tottenham Hotspur unless Tottenham Hotspur can do something that blows it wide open for BR. The Tottenham Hotspur, it's maybe imagine Chelsea had won that game against Emerfency, Ipswich Town. By now, Chelsea be comfortably in the 4th position, and then this weekend, Tottenham Hotspur, Nottingham Forest to bring a big competition over there for themselves. Then possibly they'll go through. After that, there's the FA Cup final. Then there's Brentford, there's Crystal Palace, there's Leicester, there's West Ham, and then there's Chelsea at the end of the season for Tima, their friend in Nottingham Forest. So I'm going to lose 2 games in a trot. I don't see them winning against Tottenham Hotspur, even though getting the very tough. Chelsea putting him say a big game that they have to go on and get something away from. And then against the year also here, Enzo Maresca and Mantiana. I think Maresca and Mantiana have exactly what it takes to go into this one and get a job. And I know, my brand friend Dean Hoyts in Chelsea, for targeter, my link and the team, my friend, I mean, a brand Bournemouth, my link and the Chelsea, in the last few days, the Hoyts and I can send me. I say, comfort level on the ball, Emmanuel, one of the best for Maresca, positional play, and Liam told me, I said, you are Dean Hoyts and Bournemouth. Who Jaiman is on bar, Onim as a player here, he will fit what Enzo Maresca wants to do on and off the ball. A possession focused style of play, pressure before identifying and executing the right pass, through and around it, makes him very important in terms of age, ability, and suitability. Enzo Maresca system, a brand friend Dean Hudson, a perfect fitter. Here it is a Chelsea for us who Omunyana, Omuni come up, they will bring in a brand here, your friend Dean Hudson. For him to come and play in there. My brand here, friend Kevin De Bruyne, in the last few days, one also say he's going to be out of Tima, your friend of Manchester City, and he's not going to return for them. And now, when he interview with City TV and Premier League TV, and on Bisani said, is there a chance that he plays in the Premier League next season? I know see already ruling out anything or Premier League in the Nyadi Obeka so about Premier League maybe on back and as it is or saying it's possible. Now, as someone know, Professor can say, or no, as a player, a friend of Kevin De Bruyne, or Shane Yemen costing which man for Premier League name, and there, I went to a friend Joe Cole said, if I'm Chelsea, I'm sitting around with him. We need experienced players like Kevin De Bruyne. He has been injured a bit, but what he gives in the changing room as a winner, as a leader, we might not need him for 30 games a season, and that's what Joe Cole can say. Kevin De Bruyne experienced you don't need him to play because Chelsea already were a lot of midfielders. In fact, Kevin De Bruyne is an experienced player. Nanka umbra around the group, no more. When I grew the group to play some good football. Chelsea have progressed in the next round of each of the previous 16 European knockout styles in which they have won the first leg away from home. Most recently against Copenhagen in the last round. Chelsea has had 32 goals in 9 games in the Conference League this season, averaging 3.6 goals per game, the most average of any side in major European competition as it stands now. Chelsea for the year, Europe no bar no more goals to Gumene, and Enzo Maresca would hope to win. Now we'll focus on the subsequent games over the weekend against Fulham, and then of course next week against Tima, your friend Everton. Chelsea for still closer to a brand friend Liam Delap, Enzo Maresca, and Casa. He has staying down Tima, your friend of Manchester United, and the focus is on Chelsea. So the BBR, come on. The BBR are nice over there. And now there was the big Champions League games. I also huge ones for both teams. Of course, away in Milan, it was the huge one that was going on between Internazionale Milan, any team, your friend FC Bayern Munich. Of course, not Ushe, the way that game air corner, Bayern Fona lost in the first leg. They wanted to come back and get a win against Tima, your friend of Milan. In fact, for the record's sake, not Bayern Fona Akko, because they paid Yangs out 4 times. And Omar winning now. So of course they wanted to go in and then go and win. But see, one of the reasons why I think Simeone Inzaghi, one of the best coaches we have said, is how mentally he gets his players to play well. And then now, the way ball now, buying phone the can share first goal. Then and check. Then from a set play, buying phone went in and played well. Players, which is a Abrantia friend Federico Acerbi, solid style of play. And in almost every big game at Inter, Acerbi turns out, he steps up, and he gets the job done over there. One of the players of the season, and we're 37 years, and maybe Uncle knew the story of Abrantia friend Acerbi, not our Lazio, but about the Italian national team friend, a local defender. In fact, last year one of my Simeone Inzaghi. Now, Simeone Inzaghi had a chance, so we feel Lazio about joining team. If any Inter, who is Inter for the whoop free. They went back to Lazio, found a branch friend Acerbi, brought him in, and he has done such a job for team friend Inter. The performance was peak Inter 2024-25 this season. In fact, this season Inter are not playing ball. Obi or Inter be them. If you look at their performance from last season to this season they are not being the best. 2 seasons ago, Inter were in the Champions League final. Last season, Atletico de Madrid in a way that they didn't expect to be eliminated. They came back. This season, they have a chance to meet a big team in FC Barcelona. I think, if the Champions League felt close story, fairy tale story, is on the part of 2 teams. One, Arsenal, because of the story around Munich, and also the story of Milan for and whether they can win. We wait to see, but I think the Inter are definitely one of the teams that you need to be very careful of. Inter, what an effort. So many players, I know my bread. You could see said they were grueling. Centre forward continuing presses, centre backs aircraft, but they got a job done. And it was a heroic performance from Inter Forum. You could tell that they were visibly talented. Showed so much character to hold on, and a memorable win. Official, Inter will take on Barcelona in a semi-final of the Champions League. Bayern Munich out 2-2 and down. And then Chelsea are going in the 76th minute at the game. This has been superb from Inter. Teams fold when they concede early in such tight halves. They conceded, had a difficult period, got back and scored twice, pretty much killed the time over there for Bayern over there. DiMarco, man, poor game so far. And I think one of the players I want to say different Federico DiMarco. Another side of bad defending leads to the king goal. You can't back away from him like that. Legs wide over there. Of course, it was a very, very good one in there. Such a very, very good game on the side of International Milan. The big one, however, was at the Santiago Bernabeu. And boy, what again? And at Santiago Bernabeu, one of them. Yeah, witness here. Arsenal for definitely big night for Mikel Arteta and Emerfency, given what they were able to do against team friend Real Madrid. After the game, Jorge Valdano, the best thing we can say about Madrid team is that they made reaching the Champions League final big news story over there. Madrid for a home record against English clubs now. And Swati. Arsenal got the entire image now. Real Madrid have been eliminated by English clubs for their last 4 UCL eliminators over there, and of course, the English club is sure they get a job done. Thibaut Courtois continue talking about the fact that they didn't play well. I said, Bono striker, and I'm still on versus Neto box to Musa. They could have done better over there for Thibaut Courtois. No one India anchor the side. Danny Ceballos was very honest. I said, we weren't even close. We lacked football. We lacked intensity. We weren't competitive. We didn't win duels. Arsenal was superior. Just in while Madrid players were going on, fans went to boo them over there. Lucas Vazquez post-match words seemed like a goodbye. It looks as if said Lucas Vazquez, that is the end of the road for him over there. Emotional, he said, Real Madrid always comes back. Thank you so much for everything. After the game, the Massa, I said there are no miracles if you play at nothing, and that is what matters for after the game. Of course, given the football that Madrid played, there was no way they were going to beat Arsenal in a million years. Vinny Jr. has ended the season as Real Madrid's top scorer and assistant in the Champions League for the 3rd season in a row. A brand new friend, Vinny Jr. obviously playing such a huge role. Mikel Arteta said, "This is my first time coaching at the Bernabeu, and today I realized why in this stadium crazy things happen. The ability to generate chaos, create massive doubts, in your spirit is insane, but we managed to escape, and that's some good stuff over there. I'm talking about Mikel Arteta and then Emerfency. You could tell Madrid wanted to make the game emotional. There was nothing about the emotions of the game. Now, Hani Ribesi for Pedro will be back on the show with some more detailed tactical analysis, and it looks as if say Carlo Ancelotti will be sacked because of what happened. But he committed some huge blunders. Talk about it. Bye bye.